4th down and goal from the 9. Carr throws into traffic. Intercepted. The Bengals have the ball. They are running it back. Sam Hubbard.
Stanford Jennings is going to go all the way. And when it comes down, the Bengals are champions.
Now the Bengals Super Bowl chances rest on his right foot. The kick is up. It is good.
Today, Bengal fans, we regather, talking football back for year 5. We're covering all things Houday Nation. We're glad you joined us here tonight. Special guests, past and present players. You never know who you might see. One thing that's for sure, it's all things Bengals. And it all goes back to charity. We at Talking Football want to thank you for joining us for the show tonight. By the fans, for the fans, until the very end. It's Talking Football with Bengal Jim and friends. It's Talking Football with Bengal Jim and friends.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition, off-season edition, draft edition. Draft coming up here in a few weeks. Talking Football with Bengal Jim and friends. We got James somewhere in the Middle East. Tom, I think he's shopping somewhere in Dubai. I think is where he's at.
You are misinformed. I have talked to him. We've got live press. He is down filling sandbags along the Ohio River, the Covington side, to protect his beloved Covington from the floodwaters. Yeah, so we appreciate that. He's working hard, breaking his back, filling those sandbags, and he'll probably be too tired to be back next week. But I would look for him in 2 weeks.
And our friend Jamie is still upset about the tariffs in Canada or something like that. I'm not sure what's going on up there. So,
it's Jamie. He's very protective of the home country, but I don't blame him. I wouldn't want to pay to be on with us. So, we'll get Jamie back in a few weeks too.
A lot of stuff to get to tonight, guys. So really tonight, I know we've been doing drafts. People have been talking draft stuff on social media for months and months and months now. We're just kind of gearing up, getting ready for the draft. The next couple weeks will be mostly draft talk. We got Jungle Jam to talk about tonight, our special edition on April 21st, Tom. We got Tequila Spikes and Dave Lapham joining us that night. And we got a lot of stuff to hit on tonight, man. But Tequila Spikes, you said obviously last week, or it was the week before last. I can't even remember at this point. I think it was last week. Tequila couldn't make it. Once he found out his Auburn Tigers were going to I think at the time it was the Elite Eight that they were playing in. So he actually went to the game in Atlanta and couldn't be back in enough time to be on with us last week. But he will be back April 21st. So he's looking forward to it. He did apologize to everybody. He will be there. And there's a really good chance Tequila's going to be at Jungle Jam this year too, Tom. So,
yeah, I'm looking fired up. I think there'll be all kinds of guys from Auburn at Jungle Jam this year.
Yep. Well, hey, let's get to it. Let's talk some draft. I know we're missing Jamie and Tom, but let's intro. This is a first for us, man. We've followed this guy for quite a while. Unfortunately, he's an Eagles fan, but the guy knows what he's talking about. Lives down in the Tennessee area. But do the intro for our next guest.
You know what? When your parents make your middle name Draft, you know about the NFL draft. John Draft Vogel is a top-notch draftnik. One of the rare guys, somebody I like to listen to. There are a lot of guys to listen to, but guys with perspective and even keel. In fact, he was just explaining to me something about somebody I was afraid about before we went on the air. But to kick us off tonight, we welcome John Draft Vogel. John, welcome to Bengal Jim and Friends.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate that intro, man, and I appreciate the opportunity. I'm happy to have tonight to talk with you guys.
Hey, John, you got to solve all the Bengal fans' problems. We got a lot of holes to fill. Free agency is not over with yet. Obviously, there's some guards out there in the market. Hopefully, we can squeeze a starting veteran guard out of the free agency left here. But we're focused tonight solely on the draft. So, Tom, get us kicked off here. And as everybody's watching right now on Twitter, YouTube, or Facebook, and again, we still have a Facebook connection issue to our main page on Facebook. Unable to solve that. If anybody is an IT specialist and can get through StreamYard and Facebook, I don't know. There's no connection whatsoever between StreamYard and Facebook, but we're still up and running on Twitter and YouTube. So any questions you have, any players you want to talk about, let's throw them out to John and see what he can give us tonight. But Tom, go and kick us off tonight if you could, bud.
John, listen, name of the game in Cincinnati is nothing else matters if you don't protect Joe Burrow. That being said, things are in flex upon our offensive line. I think we bring in a new defensive coordinator this year, and Al Gordon, who's been here before. But we bring him in. I think the promise was we're going to get younger, more athletic, and tougher on defense. I'm looking at that number 17 pick, and it seems to me this is about a 7-8 player draft. And then from about 9 to 40, you're getting almost the same talent level in a guy. Is it best for the Bengals to pull the trigger on some defense at 17, or maybe think about trading back?
Yeah, that's a great question to start things off. I understand there's a lot of draft nick people that they want to talk about trading back, and you see the mock draft simulators and stuff. People, they'll trade back multiple times and hit these wonderful, awesome, cool mock drafts. But at some point, you have to go ahead and make the pick, right? You got to make picks. You got to bring the players in, and so the more control that you kind of have over that situation, the better. If your top guy on the board is somebody that you can get at 17, I don't see why you go ahead and pull the trigger at 17. If the top guy on your board is somebody that's going to go maybe in the top 25, that's where I might explore a trade back where, okay, maybe someone wants to move up for a Tyler Warren or Colton Loveston, or maybe one of those defensive linemen fell down the board. It just depends on how the board falls and what's there. I think ultimately you probably go ahead and make the pick at 17. I think if you're going to go defense, that's going to be the best time to do it. I think that you'll see a lot of those top offensive linemen be off the board by then. That's going to help push some of these edge rushers down to you guys. So I think 17, I'd be perfectly fine making the pick right there.
Jimmy?
Yeah, well, let's start on the offensive side of balls. As Tom said, right? Let's nothing matters if you can't protect Joe, right? Got a lot of weapons.
Mm-hmm.
We obviously have some holes at guards. Both guard spots need to be improved. One of our guards is gone, signed with the Raiders. And we got a guard that, hopefully can step up, be a little bit better than he was last year. But talk about the couple guys you see that potentially could be there. We can't have developmental players come in, to develop these guys. We need somebody that can come in and start at guard. Nate, just talk to the fans right now about one or two guys that you might see there at 17 that could help us.
So I think the top two guys that you want to look at there would be, number one would be a tackle that you're going to potentially convert to guard. That'd be Kelvin Banks Jr. out of Texas. There is a chance he's taken off the board already, but there's a chance that he'll be there. He kind of fits that power run mauler type style that you guys have adopted over the last couple of years. You brought in Trent Brown, you brought in players like that to kind of hold up those ends. Now you can bring that power and start working back down into the inside. Banks fits that. He's 6'5", he's 330. He's got a lot of good power. He's got a good anchor as well. Probably fits that left guard. Played left tackle at Texas. Might even be able to play on the right side in a pinch if you needed him to. So I think that'd be the first player that I would look at right there. Let's say Miami goes ahead and takes him off the board at 15. I've seen a lot of mock drafts that have him coming off right there with Miami, or 13, wherever they're picking. I think you want to look at Tyler Booker out of Alabama. And again, this is another one of these. He's a big guy. He's a mauler, 6'5", 6'6", in that 330 range. Lost a lot of weight to come into the pre-draft cycle. I think during the season he played at 350. Moves really well for his size. I think that there's probably going to be some interest there. But those would be the guys that I would be taking a really hard look at. I understand they've taken a really good look at Josh Connerly too. That's probably out of Oregon. That's probably a good option. I think he'll probably move back inside to guard and play that better than he will tackle. Those would be the options that I'd be looking at if I wanted to go offense at 17.
And both those guys are projected to they could come in and make an immediate impact and start in the NFL.
Yes. All three of those guys could do that at guard. Absolutely.
Got it. Tom, go ahead, bud.
Yeah, getting back to the biggest bugaboo on the defense right now. I mean, certainly they need more athleticism. They need more speed. And they need to get after the passer. Get after the passer, improves your defensive backs, makes everything look smoother. And, and this is the NFL. You have a great quarterback and you hit the other guy's quarterback. We were talking about several possibilities there. And keep in mind, part of my paranoia is being that I'm old, I can remember almost all of them. The Bengals' weak link in the draft, and every team misses on guys and positions. But the Bengals' weak link over the year has been pass rusher. It's been defensive end. They have had so many disappointments in the first round, really the high rounds, in taking pass rushers. Even Trey Hendrickson, it seems like he was ours. Now we got him from Miami. Or pardon me, New Orleans. He played college ball.
Yeah.
But, so who are you seeing, who are you liking at that 17 spot that can come in and be a difference maker year one?
Yeah, that's a tough one because I think you're going to see I think that you're going to see some of these guys coming down to 17 that are going to have some of these question marks. Potentially, you'll have James Pierce Jr. sitting there. You'll have Michael Green out of Marshall. I know that some people kind of have Shamar Stewart projected to potentially still be on the board. I think that there's a much better chance he goes top 10. Especially with all the interest that he's taken in this offseason. I think he's got more 30 visits than anybody in this class up to this point. So when you kind of look at some of these guys, Michael Green probably fits the speed thing the best. And that's just because he's a speed guy through and through. He's a little bit smaller. He's more of a rush edge guy, so someone that's not necessarily a hand in the dirt type player. He did do that at Marshall, but he's going to have to put on a little bit of weight to be effective at that. So he's more of a stand-up rusher. But he's a guy that he's got speed. He's got some really good bend. He's flashed power at times. Now, then there's the whole issue with him leaving the University of Virginia. So that's the off-field concern. There were some real interesting rumors that kind of came out from there, some unverified reports that, if true, are concerning. So that's kind of the issue with Mike Green that NFL teams are doing their due diligence on. He looks like he could be a player. He absolutely should have been playing somewhere much higher than Marshall. And he dominated there. So you don't have that concern. It's just if he were to project into your defense right now, he's probably not playing right away. Same sort of deal with James Pierce Jr. He's another one of these guys that kind of fits that stand-up rusher, absolute speed demon coming off the edge. Now, he's had the off-field concern with, does he love football? Does he want to play football? That's been his whole mantra up to this point. That's the question people feel is unanswered. So that's sort of the thing. I kind of like if Michael Williams out of Georgia is there, that would be a guy that I'd take a look at. He can do the stand-up stuff, but he can also put his hand in the dirt. He gets after the quarterback really well. There's some mutual interest there between the Bengals and him. I know that another guy that they've been looking at is Nick Scorton, so out of the other defensive end out of Texas A&M. So what Williams probably fits it best in terms of athletic ability. Scorton is more of a power finesse guy. But Michael Williams is going to be more of your athlete that still has a lot of upside that can still develop into a better player.
Got it.
Jimmy?
So John, let's talk about the linebacker position here. Bengals are linebacker 1, I think, is pretty secure. Linebacker 2 is up in the air right now. We got a third linebacker and a fourth one. But talk about linebacker, because that potentially could be direction, depending what happens with Jermaine Pratt here. Talk about that position. What could be some opportunities there, if not round 1, even round 2. But what are some good prospects potentially the Bengals could be looking at there?
Yeah, I think that most of your top prospects are going to be in the A2 range for the linebacker position. Linebacker is kind of one of those positions that's taken a hit in general, especially in draft capital, just because the market hasn't moved for him as much. Your true Mike linebacker is essentially not existent anymore. A lot of teams typically play two linebackers as mics now and split their duties in half by playing half field progression reads, right? So, you know, you take what used to be your strong side linebacker and you put him in, and he kind of plays a half field mic, and then your regular mic plays the other half, and you take your weak side linebacker off the field because you're going to bring your nickel in most of the time. So linebackers, that position has kind of been hurt on defense by the NFL becoming a pass heavy league. When you kind of get into that second round, it's not a great class for linebacker. There's not a lot of really great options here. I know that the Bengals have shown some interest in Nick Martin out of Oklahoma State. He's probably more of a early day 3 guy, late day 2 guy. But he kind of has that versus he's capable playing pass coverage, but he's not great at it. That's the real key to linebacker now, is playing pass coverage. Not a lot of people can do it very well. So he's not quite there. You could look at potentially, if he's still on the board when you guys get to your second round pick. There's the Alabama linebacker whose name is escaping me. I'm going through my notes trying to pull him up right now. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Jahad Campbell.
Yeah.
Yeah, Campbell's an absolute freak. He tested with some really elite type stuff. 4.5, 240 at the combine. He had a 1.53 split. If you want to put that into perspective, the average linebacker 10-yard split is 1.62. So he was almost a full tenth of a second faster. That's almost unheard of at the linebacker position. So he had some really great testing. He's a great blitzer. He's capable in pass coverage. Yep, he had 5 sacks this past year at the University of Alabama, along with his 117 tackles. So he can definitely play in coverage as well.
Does he have a trick shoulder? Is there any injury concern there for Campbell?
There is a little bit, but he's played through it. So he's got the toughness factor. So I as far as I know, his medicals were all clear. That tends to lead me to believe that he'll probably be fine on that front.
Gotcha. Tom?
So keeping with on that side of the ball, like they say, kind of like what I inferred, a great pass rush makes your cornerbacks look better. Great coverage makes your pass rushers look better. We've got guys good enough that they all could eventually get to the Pro Bowl. 1, 2, 3, right across the line. The Bengals are keeping it a mystery what they're going to do with Dax Hill. Is he going to play in the nickel like he did in Michigan? Is he going to stay outside where he seemed to have found a little bit of a home last year before he got injured? Cam Taylor-Britt, depending on who you talk to, either had some struggles with conditioning. He had some struggles with technique. But all of a sudden, the light flipped on right after Thanksgiving last year, and we had the cornerback we had gotten used to playing. Is cornerback a need do you see for the Bengals? Do you think that is something they will, if the best player available at 17 happens to be a corner, will they go that route or address it a little later?
Probably something later. Like you mentioned, because DJ Turner's there, Dax Hill, you mentioned Cam Taylor-Britt. I know that you brought in Marco Wilson. That's obviously that's a depth guy that probably makes the 53 man, but is not expected to play a whole lot. So you've got depth. You typically don't address depth in the first round. That's your typical second round or third round, where you might take somebody who has a couple question marks that you think you can answer and develop up. And I love that you mentioned Cam Taylor-Britt. I'm a big fan of Taylor-Britt because he's a physical guy, and I like my corners to be physical. I'll take the struggles every day if you want to tackle, and he obviously wants to tackle. So I love that about his game. But I think that's you probably don't address that at 17, even if corner is the best player on the board, which is a very likely possibility. Benjamin Morrison could be there out of Notre Dame. Very likely will be there. The Siobhan Revell, most likely out of East Carolina, will probably be there as well. Hunter very well may be the only guy off the board at that position. You get to 17. So that is a very likely possibility. I just don't think that you want to address that yet. Um, Unless, of course, you're planning on moving on one of these guys next year, and not because you don't want to pay them. That's always a possibility, but I wouldn't do that. I think that you got other needs that can be filled at that point.
Yeah.
If we want to go, I'm sorry, Jimmy. If we want to go inside, sorry,
No,
to help the pass rush, who do you see being there at 17 that can step in and help? Now, actually, they've addressed the inside. 2 high draft picks last year, free agency this year. They're not desperate there, but they were desperate all last year for some inside push on the pass rush to help the defensive ends. Is there a guy there that can
Yeah.
help?
Yeah, absolutely. And a guy that would fit the system really well, it's Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss. I'm a huge Walter Nolan believer. I'll bang the table for him. I watched him in person at the Senior Bowl this year, and he is so impressive in person. He's an impressive character as well. I understand that there were some people in media that kind of brought up some concerns with him. Maybe I think the maturity was kind of the question. But he loves football. He's all about football. I'll take a chance with that kind of guy any day. He's reminds me on tape a lot of a Damoon Kong Su, but a little bit more compact, a little bit smaller. And that's kind of what I liked about Nolan is he's got that same intensity, he's got that same physicality, he's really good with his hands. Still has some room to improve, but he's really good right now. He's a guy that he could be a 6, 7, 8 sack a year guy from the 3 tech that would be very beneficial to a pass rush.
Nice.
Sounds like Gino.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, Tom. So talk about, John, again, just to remind everybody, there's a lot of questions going on in the chat. Any questions you want to add, just throw them out here. I think we're kind of crossing over some of the same questions we've been hitting on, but let's talk about, John, your mid-late round. Some of your guys, let's say the Bengals sneak and pick these guys. What are 2 or 3 guys mid-late round that you think could be surprise picks and actually come in and be shockers for the Bengals and actually come in and contribute year one? It doesn't have to be 2 or 3 guys, one guy. Just give me a mid-late round, not a big name yet, round 1 or round 2. Give me that late day 1, day 2, day 3 guy or 2 you think are big steals for the Bengals.
Well, I don't know if you guys would target him because you typically like your edge rushers to be a little bit on the taller side. I don't think that there's a single edge rusher on the roster right now that's under 6'2.5". This guy's 6 foot, and he was so much fun to watch at the Senior Bowl. I loved watching him on tape. I'm going to preface this by saying I don't. The former Senior Bowl director Jim Nagy. I had a lot of respect for him. He gave me my first credential that got me into this industry, the 2020 Senior Bowl. I I have an acquaintanceship with him that has been very beneficial. I hope for him as well, but very much so for me. And I don't bother him in season about a lot of players because I understand he's got a support staff that's out there scouting. He's got coaches hitting him up nonstop. He's got general managers that want to see people that are way more important than the people I want to see there. This is the one guy that I hit him up about during the year, and they brought him in, and he was awesome. And it was David Walker out of Central Arkansas. This guy is so much fun to watch at the edge position, and he brings athletic ability. He's tested very well. I believe in the 4.7 40 range. He's had a good 10-yard split. He's very explosive. He also has natural leverage coming off the line of scrimmage because he's only 6'1.5". So for a lot of 6'5", 6'6" tackles that you're going against, they got to get down lower to win the leverage battle against him. That's very difficult when you've got a guy that's got the speed that this guy does. And he ran circles around a lot of the people down at the Senior Bowl. He was a blast to watch. David Walker, if I could get him in the 3rd round or even the 4th, I would take that flyer every day because he's a workaholic. He's going to come in, he's going to get it done, and he's going to be productive. When you go back to his time at Central Arkansas, this guy was incredibly productive. In the last 2 years, he's had 20 sacks, 31 tackles for loss and 125 tackles in 2 years. And that's 23 games because they don't play typically 12 games at the FCS level. They play 11 unless you go in the playoffs. He played 23 games, and that's what he put up. 5 forced fumbles along to go with that as well. I understand that's a lower level. I understand that. But he went down to the Senior Bowl, and he had a couple sacks in the game there and was very productive the entire week. I love that guy. He's one of my bang the table guys. I think that he's going to walk in and surprise anybody. It doesn't matter where you put him in the league. He's one of these rare guys that wherever he goes, he's going to do really well.
Interesting. I like that. That's one
I
guy.
saw him at the Senior Bowl. Go ahead, Jimmy. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay, Tom. You're breaking up. Go ahead.
I saw him from a history at the Senior. He was given the Division I guys. So he's with the leverage, the speed. He might be able to. Sometimes you with Tim Nagy, he at least got you some free Reese cups.
Yeah, it's the quickness, right? When he comes off the line of scrimmage, he's got a great first step. He knows how to use his hands, and he's got that natural leverage to create natural bend. One of the things that you typically see with a guy that's that small is they don't have the quickness that they need. They don't have the first step ability. He has it, and it's very good. 165, 10-yard split. I got the numbers pulled up. 4.69 40. That's well above average for the edge position group. And then he had a 35-inch vertical to go with it as well at 263 pounds at the combine. He is explosive. He's got that first step that you need, and absolute joy to put on tape and watch.
Go ahead, Tom. Keep going.
So, moving back to the offensive side of the ball, probably round 4 or 5, unless the right guy is there, the Bengals are going to look for another running back.
Mm-hmm.
Chase Brown doesn't have to lug the ball at his size 20 times a game. Is there a power back there? Not necessarily a 260-pound guy, but that 230, 235 guy that can ram it between the tackles. Get us that yard. One of our bugaboos the last couple of years, when it's 3rd and 2, 4th and 1, it's not an automatic first down. We need that guy to get us that first down.
Yeah, you are in luck because this year is one of the deepest running back classes. You could wait till the 4th, 5th round and maybe come out with a guy that might get more playing time than Chase Brown. This is a great class for running back. So I think in that range that you're kind of talking, first player that comes to mind would be Taj Brooks out of Texas Tech. That'd be a guy that I'd look at. He also offers receiving ability as well. Very quick. Reminds me a lot of Tajay Spears when he came out of Tulane a couple years ago. Maybe not as sudden as Tajay, one-cut type player, but he's versatile. He can do a little bit of everything, and he's got some size and bulk to him. I think the Auburn running back would make a lot of sense there too, Jarquez Hunter. This guy played 4 years at Auburn, was productive all 4 years, even with, how do we say it nicely, less than adequate support around him in that offense. With the changing coaching staff, he was the one consistent cog in that offense. And he's got that power ability too. He's a little bit smaller at 5'9", 216. But it's a compact build that allows him to run with power and contact balance between the tackles. And then Ontario Brown would be a guy I might even wait till the 6th or 7th round to try to get my hands on out of Northern Illinois. Scouts were going to Northern Illinois all year in the MAC to watch this guy play. He's not the fastest guy. He's not a burner, but he's that power guy, 225, that's going to run well between the tackles and get those first downs.
Nice. Looks like we've had a lot of position groups. We've got a couple more to hit here. I just want to ask you, I think we talked about the linebacker position, maybe not the deepest draft there at the linebacker position this year, but what position group or two that you see as the deepest in this year's draft? I think I heard defensive line. Kind of get your take on the two deepest position groups in this year's draft.
I think there's three or about running back, defensive end, and defensive tackle are both really deep this year, and tight end is very deep. I don't think I've ever seen as many ready to play tight ends coming out of college as I have this year. And that's something that you don't normally. Tight end is a very difficult position to make that adjustment to at the next level because just the terminology of a playbook and what a tight end has to know and understand to hear the play call and understand what his assignment is, he's got to understand blocking schemes and route concepts and how he plays into those. So it's a lot of information to put on a rookie. That's why you don't normally see tight ends play well their first year. There's been rare exceptions, but there are. That's why they struggle. There's a lot of guys that are ready to go this year. That's a deep class. There'll be high priority free agent running backs this year that will make impacts as rookies, depending on who they are in the right situation. But there's enough of them that's going to happen. And the defensive tackle and defensive end positions are there's so many good guys there. You can get a really good rotational player in the third, fourth round and feel really good about it by prioritizing other positions before that.
Good. It's good to hear. Just a group of need there for the Bengals. Tom, keep rolling, buddy.
Before we go, I know we've got some viewer questions, Jimmy, and comments. I do want to ask you, John, being an Eagles fan, I do not like the term tush push. I prefer the brotherly shove because it's pure Philadelphia. They're talking about outlawing it. As a fan of the team that's perfected it, where do you come down on it?
I understand the concern with player safety, but if that's going to be the real concern, then we should ban the quarterback sneak as well. There's been more injuries that have happened to quarterbacks and other players on quarterback sneaks than has happened with the brotherly shove. Which, by the way, the brotherly shove happens 2-3 times a game on average. So the fact that there's more quarterback sneak injuries, Patrick Mahomes has been injured on one. I think Trevor Lawrence was injured on one. Jared Goff may have been at some point. There's a lot of quarterbacks that have been injured on quarterback sneaks, and you see teams starting to ask tight ends to do that now. So if we're going to outlaw the brotherly shove, then the quarterback sneak play should just be eliminated entirely.
There you go.
All right.
Listen, we got a lot of questions in here about some Buckeyes and some Bearcats here. So obviously, just give us a potential target for the Bengals if there's any. I know there's a lot of talk about, I think, one of the guards, offensive lineman out of UC, but also a lot of Buckeye questions. Any potential Buckeyes or Bearcats heading to the Cincinnati Bengals this year?
Yeah, I love that they brought up Judkins. The reason I didn't bring him up in that question was because we were talking about day 3, and Judkins is going to be gone by the time we get to day 3. He's an absolute freak. I like him. I think the best fit and the best shot from Ohio State, just based on interest and everything I've seen up to this point, would be Emeka Egbuka. I know that there's a lot of interest. They visited with him in the combine. They were there at the pro day as well at Ohio State. I don't think that they met with him in private. I don't know. I hadn't heard who he met with in private at his pro day. But he seems to be the best fit. You could plug him into the slot, really put, Andre Yosivas, right? That's how you say his name?
Right.
The Princeton guy, the speedster. Yosivas.
Right.
Yoshi. We just call him Yoshi.
You put him Yoshi, there you go. You put him into very special situations where you can really unlock that track speed and replace him with consistency out of the slot. That's what you would bring Egbuka into if you could get your hands on him.
Got it. Tom, go ahead.
So following that up on the wide receiver spot, my take on that is, they re-signed Gesicki. Really for the Bengals with Chase and Higgins, even though he's got in by his name, really Gesicki is our slot guy. And it's not half a season, but he and Burrow really developed a chemistry. Had he had those numbers the first part of the year, he'd have probably gone to the Pro Bowl. Another thing is he lost a lot of snaps to a very talented tight end, Eric All, who was playing his way into being a significant part of the game plan before he unfortunately got hurt again. So do you think, more so league-wide, are we looking at tight ends are really the slot receivers, or do the Bengals need a pure receiver in that role?
You always want to have the versatility so that you can have more options for matchups. The league right now is more so a matchup league than it is anything else. And so, while yes, the league in general is moving to two tight end sets. If you look at the last couple of years, all of the top teams that have been performing and going deep in the playoffs, with the exception last year being the Bengals, believe it or not, run the highest percentages of 12 personnel in the entire league. So this it's a copycat league. You're going to get everybody starting to move to 12 personnel. And what that kind of does as well is if you look at Buffalo, for example, which I'm sure you guys absolutely love Buffalo in Cincinnati. They have two tight ends that they use pretty much every play. And they play two different roles. You've got Dawson Knox, he's your more traditional Y, and you've got Dalton Kincaid, who plays that slot. So what that does from a matchup perspective is when they go in the huddle and you see two tight ends, you go 12 personnel. Okay, we probably need to go with our base package, right? So you take the nickel off the field, you put the linebacker on, but then Kincaid lines up out of the slot. And now you're stuck in this situation where, okay, we got a linebacker matched up on Kincaid, who's basically a big slot receiver. That's not good. But you keep the nickel on the field. Well, then Kincaid lines up in line, and all of a sudden you've got a power play running to their strong side. That's the matchup issue that 12 personnel creates with the modern NFL. So you want a tight end that's going to be a slot guy, Gesicki, and you want a tight end that's going to be your true Y. That's how you operate 12 personnel. So, and Alda definitely fits that role of the Y. He's definitely more of a Y tight end than anything. So you want to have the slot, because if you end up with a defense that maybe their nickel is not as good and you want to use some speed to kind of take that over the top, that's why you have your true slot. That's where he's going to play 80% of the snaps and you're going to line up in 11 the entire game. That would be a guy like, I know there's a couple players that they've looked at is like Isaac Tesla out of Arkansas. He's a lot of fun to watch, had a really great week at the Senior Bowl, and Samuel Brown out of Miami. Another one of these guys that's a 4.4 speed blazer. So that's what you would bring them in for. You want to have that position filled, and it's literally just to create matchups so that when you get into the right situation, you've got the player to build the game plan around and say, hey, this is how we're going to attack this defense. This is how we're going to really stretch them and open up these opportunities.
Yeah, love it. John, look, man, we appreciate you being with us tonight. This is a great time of the year. We could do draft 12 months a year, right? But today is our first day really digging in, getting in the weeds on this with you. We appreciate you being with us. But tell everybody how they can get a hold of you and where to follow you. And I know Tom and I follow you on Twitter, but kind of talk a little bit about where you're at so people can make sure they stay in touch with you.
Yeah, so right now it's pretty much Twitter. It's through my guide that I put out. That's where most of my work ends up in. But if you're not an X user and you're not following me at DraftVogel, draftvogel.com is probably the best place to keep up with everything that I'm up to.
Gotcha, Tom?
Now, John, thanks so much. We've kept you a lot longer than I had told you we would, so we abused you a little bit. We got free draft.
No, Tom, I'm used to it, okay? I'm used to every show that I go on. They're like, hey, 15, 20 minutes. We're done 30 minutes later. And that was a little longer. And no, it's okay. I can talk about this all day. We're good.
This time it's 40. Bill Jimmy.
So. If the missus is upset, just blame Tom. We're good.
She's used to it now too. She's used to it now too.
Yeah, my wife same way. Tom's too. So look, man, I'm looking forward to seeing some of these names you talked about tonight go into draft, and hopefully some of these guys that we think will be huge impacts will be part of the Cincinnati Bengals here this 2025 season, and us, the Cincinnati Bengals, in the the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl will be fun. We'll have you on right before the Super Bowl then too. So that'd be a lot of fun. So.
Oh, I'm rooting for it. Hey, my little brother, he's 13 years old. He's a huge Bengals fan because of Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
So that I would love nothing more than to have a lot of smack talk for a couple of weeks
Yeah, I know who
leading
your
up
mom.
to the Super Bowl.
I know who your mom and dad's favorite kid is, John. I'm just saying it's not you.
Yeah, that's good parenting right there on the younger one. That's just good parenting straight up. So,
John, we appreciate you, man.
John Houday.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you.
See you.
Yeah, I certainly wasn't going to say fly, Eagles, fly.
I almost did. Really good dude, man. Really good dude. So,
no, the thing about John is, and I mean, let's face fact, our guy from a personal standpoint and a friend, not just a friend of the show, but a friend of all of us, we'll have deep fried Brian Bosnell from NFL Draft Countdown on next week. But John, from a national perspective and openly being an Eagles fan, he knows everything about every franchise and is very objective on what he says. I learned a lot. You saw me. I had a ball with him before we went on when it was just us. But great guy.
Yeah. Well, Tom, we're going to keep talking until Tom's battery dies. He's at what are you at right now, Tom?
Yeah, but I'm cranking. I got hamsters are running in the thing right over there. So we're going. So we've had power outages. Tony the Tiger thinks it's funny to when power goes out, trees are on lines that he'll connect them, get me all fired up, and then he'll disconnect them. But
just to your house only, yeah.
Yeah, he's down the street doing that right now. He thinks it's funny. But
let's keep digging in. Let's talk about Jungle Jam, Tom. So I don't have an update on ticket sales. So remember, this is a free event, guys. It is a free event. So part of that free event, we have the entire levee, Newport on the levee, that will be taking over multiple floors of the levee. I'm telling you, it's going to be something special. What gets you that free? What's going to be part of that free event is going to be a 2025 season preview. If you remember last year, Coach Taylor, Lapp, and Horde, and some current players were there talking about. That was a great hour-long session. Also, part of that will be the Jungle. The whole reason we're doing this is Jungle to the Hall 5. We've got Lamar Parrish coming in, Max Montoya, Ken Anderson, Ken Riley II. Willie's still trying to work it out to get in. Max Montoya. We're going to have a great discussion around our guys that we feel that should be in the Hall of Fame. That's an hour-long session as well. On top of that, there's going to be kids stuff going on there at the levee that day. There's going to be all kinds of other stuff. We're going to have vendors just like we did last year. That's all free. What's not free, and what I would tell you, if you want to be part of the VIP session, we're about 78% sold out of that VIP session. We've doubled the number of VIPs from last year. We have more room. But that is getting close to being sold out. I expect that to get sold out here very soon. But that VIP session is a very exclusive. We'll name the players later. It will be about 3 or 4 big name players that you will have a Q&A session with. There'll be food and drink and all kinds of stuff for you there. Pictures, autographs with those 3 or 4 big name, either former and current players will be part of that VIP session. I think that's from 11 to 12:15 that day on July 19th. And then later in the day, that event is going to be the alumni autograph session. That the VIP session is $150, and then the alumni autograph session is only $25. And we've got to get some more sponsors. We got to get some more sponsors because we have 4 times as many players. We're flying in from out of town. Literally just got a call today from, you remember Nate Livings? Played with, I think he played with Big Wit down at LSU, played 4 or 5 years here in Cincinnati on the offensive line. He wants to be part of this year. There's going to be some really fun names. Pat McAnally is coming in this time. We're waiting to hear back from a lot of them, but we've got right now about 35, 40 former players coming in. Ted Karras will be there as well. More will come. We've been kind of leaking out some announcements sporadically.
Reggie Williams. I mean, we're going to have
Reggie. We're flying in Reggie.
So many big names that weren't there last year, and so many of the big names that were there last year. That'll be back.
Yeah, very excited.
Bob Johnson, but we've got a lot of big names to release in coming months. We've got a lot of guys we're really fired up about and talking about that are checking in their schedules, confirming their vacation schedules. But
and their kids' schedules and stuff like that are being confirmed.
And one thing, Jimmy, we have not mentioned: the whole place is air conditioned.
Inside
inside
the levee will be air conditioned. Yep.
We're all going to be cool the whole time. So but yeah, it's going to be.
I would tell you the thing I want to make clear. Remember, it's a free event. But if you want the VIP session, if you pay for that VIP session, it's food, drink, all kinds of stuff, pictures, autographs for the players that are there. But that also gets you into the alumni autograph session as well. That's going to sell out here very soon, and all that's going to be left is the alumni autograph session, which is going to be really fun. So again, last year we raised a little over 40 grand, guys, 40 grand for local charities. I think we cut a check that day for Joe Burrow Foundation for 25 grand. Ken Anderson Alliance was 10. Cordell Volson, I think, got 1,500. We did 1,000 to Munoz, 1,000 to Icky, there were, I think, 1,000 to 1,500 for the Revive Family Foundation. Guys, I'm telling you, it is such a fun event. And the people that were there last year, they know. But if you can make it down here this year, it's going to be something you don't want to miss. We really had the opportunity to pull this off at the stadium this year. But the date that we had to do this was July 19th. And the week after that date down at the stadium is Cincinnati Music Festival. And they're literally using they're flooring the field the day that we needed to do this. So hopefully we can pick a better date next year that we can do it down at the stadium. But we're gonna go back to Newport. The whole city of Newport was supportive. The hotels, the mayor, vice mayor, the police, everybody was very, very supportive. You guys sold out every hotel in Newport last year. And they really rolled out the red carpet to Bengal fans. I think we had Bengal fans, James likes talking about this, from 13 or 14 different states that flew in to the event. So make sure you're able to make it. And I think Paul is asking what player is going to be in the autograph session. Right now, Paul, you're just going to have to kind of stay tuned a little bit if you could, buddy. We know, like last year, it was Max Montoya, Jim Breach will be there again. David Fulcher, all those guys will be part of that autograph session. So we'll kind of continue to name those as they come out. So another question here, Mike Wills, do VIP ticket holders get a special poster as well? Yes. Great question, Mike. So last year we did football cards for all the players that had committed to the event. Well, this year we're going to be giving out a poster. Every player that's going to be in attendance will be on that poster. So the players that will be doing autographs, you can have them sign that poster if you want, but it'll be a exclusive, one-of-a-kind poster that they will be able to that you'll be able to get autographed. So it looks like we're getting all kinds of questions here. Sorry, Tom's battery just died. We talked about that a little bit ago. We knew that was going to happen here soon. Matt Lee is pretty much better guards. Who else? Oh yeah, are we doing the bar crawl, Mark? Hell yeah, brother. We're going to make something like that happen. We're gonna tie in the whole community. We're going to be doing something with. I don't know if I should talk about this, but I'm going to. We're going to be doing a very special. Right now, we're 99% sure this is going to happen. We're going to have another bourbon release, tailgate bourbon release from Wenzel Distillery. We're going to be targeting restaurants and bars in Newport, Covington, and Cincinnati to make sure you guys get to. Look, whatever we can do to help local businesses out, that's what we're going to do with this event. When you got 2,500, 3,000 fans, let's make sure we give you some direction on where to go and hang out and support local businesses here in the Cincinnati tri-state areas. But we did a bar crawl last year. It was actually a lot of fun. I had to carry Mark back to the hotel that night. He was a mess. No, he wasn't. He was fine. But any other questions anybody has? But Jungle Jam, make sure you get the tickets. And actually tonight when we get off here, I'll make sure I share that link again. But make sure you get – I will tell you, if you can buy the VIP, that's the way to go. The VIP session that also gets you into the alumni autograph session as well. But it's going to be a lot of fun down at the levee on July 19th for Jungle Jam and Jungle to the Hall 5. So thanks, everybody, for being part of that. Again, a very special fan-run event by the fans for the fans. This is not the organization putting this on. It is our group, our inner circle in the tailgate that is putting this on and running this. And we have, I think James talked about it here a few weeks ago. We also have the Houday ladies that will be helping out a lot. Again, that whole group is just awesome. Good folks that are going to be helping out, volunteering. There's going to be split the pots. There's going to be raffles, all kinds of things going on, just like there was last year. A couple other quick things. April 21st, we talked about this at the very beginning of the show. April 21st, our very special draft edition is going to be Takeo Spikes, who was supposed to be on with us last week. We talked about his Auburn Tigers being in the Elite Eight that he went and watched in person, why he couldn't be with us last week. And Dave Lapham will be on with us. That's going to be a lot of fun. Bengals #1 draft pick and Dave Lapham, legend Dave Lapham, on April 21st. I think that's a Monday. We're doing that. And I think that's it, guys. It feels weird being the only one on the screen right now without James and Jamie and Tom. So, guys, we love you. Thank you so much for being here. And I do want to say something. I'm so sorry I didn't say this at the beginning of the show. The Carolinas, the Kentucky, since different parts of Cincinnati, flooding is really, really bad. We came home from the airport here today about 20 minutes before the show started, and I stopped real quick at the tailgate area. I hadn't seen flooding that bad since, but it's all the way down to the stadium where the players' parking is. And I haven't seen it that bad since probably 2001 was the last time, 17 or 18. I remember going down and seeing the water all the way up to the area that it is today. So I think it's going to start receding at some time tomorrow or the day after. But be safe out there. Don't drive through water. You don't know how deep it is. So be safe out there, and hope everybody's good with their families and their homes. So, guys, we appreciate you. There's all kinds of things you guys can be doing on a Sunday night versus sitting here talking with us. But we appreciate you being with us tonight. We love you guys. Hoo day, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.